These 5 books have seriously changed my life. What's up, guys? My name is Tim Roswick, and today we're going to go through 5 of the books that I think have changed my life to the point that I didn't think was possible. There's a lot of books that have influenced my life in a lot of different ways, but I tried to pick 5 that I think drastically altered the way that I looked at the world. It was really hard to pick just 5 books, but wherever there was conflict, I tried to pick the book that was maybe lesser known. Because we all hear the same books around a lot, right? Like a lot of the same books are popular, so I didn't want to recount a lot of the same books here, but there are some that you'll probably recognize. A lot of them are actually on my Kindle too, because I've given away copies so many times that I don't have the original books anymore. And I reread a lot of these books anyway, so I have them on my Kindle here. So book number 1, The Charge by Brendon Burchard. The subtitle is Activating the 10 Human Drives That Make You Feel Alive. And yo, just to preface this, if you think I'm joking about this book changing my life, I got that shit tattooed on my arm, okay? The main premise that Brendon talks about in a lot of his books, there's this idea of live, love, matter. About when you're on your deathbed and you're looking back at life, what are the questions you're going to ask yourself? Did I live? Did I love? Did I matter? And I loved that so much because I read that when I was super depressed, and I realized I had a video about depression. I'm still kind of going through that, but that really helped me put perspective on life. And it really kind of helped me get motivated to do some of the things that I did. And ultimately it changed the way that I looked at life. He talks about the 10 human drives that propel us forward and the things that make us really feel alive in life. These are things that I've just started rereading recently because, you know, I felt depressed again a lot recently. And I realized a lot of these things I've kind of let go of. I don't apply anymore in my life. And I need to get back to this stuff because when I first read this book, it seriously changed the course of everything. Book number 2, Think and Grow Rich. Now, you've probably seen this book 1,000 times, 100 million, 18,000 bazillion times around the internet. Everybody says this is the book that changed your life. Everybody, blah, blah, blah. I know we all say this changed your life, but yo, this book is worth it. Seriously. This was written earlier in the 20th century by Napoleon Hill. He had written, I think, 40 some books on success. He studied some of the best people on the planet at what they did. And this was the book where he combined all of his different books into one book. And, you know, it shows. Like, there's so much knowledge in here. And every time I reread this, like, I get so much more information and value out of it. And it goes into all kinds of stuff. Like, this book talks about finances and mastering money. It talks about psychology and mastering yourself. It talks about the subconscious mind and how you can use your subconscious mind to work for you. When I first read this, it got a little weird talking about some superconscious brain in the airwaves that sends you stuff. But over the years, I've actually realized what it meant. It's talking about a flow state. It's talking about that creative state when you're in where you just make something and that thing doesn't really seem like it came from you. Like you have no idea what you're going to create. You sit down and you create the thing. And no matter what you think it is, whether you think it's a god or a super universe force or a super conscious mind connecting all of us, regardless of what it is, it's super valuable and you got to learn how to channel that. And this book talks about that effectively. And I think anybody should read this book. It's kind of hard to read sometimes. I recommend the audiobook. I really like to listen to audiobook while I'm doing something, while I'm working on art or anything like that. So I recommend it. Book number 3, The 4-Hour Workweek. This is another one of those books you hear about a lot, right? Like everybody talks about the 4-Hour Workweek. The subhead for this book is Escape 9 to 5, Live Anywhere, and Join the New Rich. It's a little markety, it's a little salesy, but as you'll find out, Tim Ferriss is a fantastic marketer. He knew what he had to title this book. He actually ran tests. He ran marketing tests to find the title for this book. Not only do I love that as a marketer, right? Like as somebody that understood marketing, he knew exactly what the audience needed to hear to pick up this book. And he put it right on the title. He put the whole thing like right there. Like it's framed as like a get rich quick book, but it's not. There's so much value in here. And the value is not just from learning how to be digital nomadish or be location independent as an entrepreneur, which actually I took to heart. This book is one of the reasons why I ended up selling my company, because I felt so locked down and it just wasn't what I wanted to do. this book changed my life in that way because it's one of the reasons I ended up selling my company. But two, it changed my life in the fact that I was super antisocial at the time of reading this. And Tim Ferriss has fantastic tips on how to be less afraid of what people think and how to do exercises for yourself that actually gets you used to, interacting with people and having people's eyeballs on you and not caring what they think. And for me, that was super, super helpful. And it drastically changed the way that I live life. Book number 4, Rework. Now, this is a book, like a lot of people would say lean startup as far as startups goes, because that was the book that kind of started the whole lean startup movement, obviously, about the whole iterate quickly, fail fast kind of thing. But Rework kind of takes those same concepts and it boils them down into little tidbits of information that I think are super useful. Each chapter is super tiny. It's like 2 to 5 pages. But it's filled with like a good idea. It's filled with like a little nugget of information. And I highly recommend this book if you are a startup founder or you are in the games business and in some kind of programming business for yourself. If you build software, this book is definitely worth it. If you run any kind of digital business, any kind of business that has anything to do with code or web applications or apps or games or anything like that, this book is super, super helpful. And I recommend you pick it up. It changed my life because I was spending all the time building and none of the time selling, none of the time launching, none of the time iterating. I was spending all my time building in private and nobody knew what I had existed. And when I didn't get it out there, ultimately the companies failed. I failed 5 companies, 5 different companies failed that I started because I didn't read this book. And this book helped change that. And book number 5, you're going to get mad at me because I cheated here. It's this book right here. And this book happens to be my journal. This is a book that I write in on a weekly basis. I used to do daily. I probably should do daily still because it was super, super helpful. But this book right here is responsible for more shit in my life than any other book on the planet. Because what goes in here is me. And when it comes out of me, it seriously changes the way that I see things. Because now I'm observing myself, right? I'm observing myself from third person. I'm not inside my head. I'm not observing the world as me. I'm observing me in this book. That helps so much with just understanding who you are, understanding the things that make you the way you are, understanding the things that change you or affect you in negative or positive ways. Understanding yourself at a high level, I think, is super important for any kind of business. It's important for any kind of personal and social relationships. And I think it's important for mental health. And it's one of the reasons why I share a lot of personal stuff on the channel, because I am self-aware of what I'm going through. And I want to share those things with people on the channel so that if they're going through the same thing, maybe I can help them somehow with my experience. So this book definitely changed my life, and I would highly recommend that you journal if you do not currently. A couple runners up, just because I happen to like books a lot and I read a lot of them. This is my copy of Predictably Irrational. This book is falling apart because it's so old. Like, I have pieces coming out of it. It doesn't have a cover anymore. But this book is about human beings and how they are completely irrational, but it's predictable. I used to think that everybody was rational. Everybody always did the rational thing. Everybody should think things out like Vulcans do and completely logic-based. Humans are not, and Predictably Irrational is super important. Another runner-up is The Ultimate Sales Letter. This is a marketing book. I highly recommend this. This taught me how to write headlines, and headlines are the reason you clicked on this video. Headlines are the reason I get any amount of views that I get on my channel. Headlines are the reason why I can get to the top of Reddit. Headlines are super, super important in anything that you do marketing-wise. And last but not least, runner-up, we got 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I highly recommend this book. This taught me a lot about myself. It helped me realize some of the positive and negative relationships that I was in. It helped me realize some of the things that I do that definitely would not be habits of a person that was effective. And it helped me change kind of who I am. And this is one of those books you want to reread a lot. So I recommend this. It didn't make my top 5 because I feel like all those 5 other books really changed my life in drastic ways. This definitely did change my life, but I only said 5, so that's what I got. Those are my books. I hope you found it useful. What's your favorite book? What book changed your life? Tell me down in the comments below because I want to read it. All of the links to these books are in the description down below, so make sure you check those out. Once again, my name is Tim Roswick, and I'll see you again tomorrow.